Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 4th. The hour is 3 o'clock. We'll get started. First item is to approve the order of agenda. We do have a couple changes in here. Item number 2, Robert's second edition, will be continued to the July 2nd meeting. And as you see, items 1 and 3A and B have already been continued. We will hear items 4 and 5 today. And under other items, one addition will be, we'll add the nominations for chair and vice chair. We'll vote on that today. I think those are the only changes. Any discussion, or can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. On to the minutes of our last meeting, which was May 7th. They were included in your packet. Any additions or questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion. And is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item C, the brown bag lunch for Wednesday, June 19th is canceled. We'll start those up again. We do not have one on the schedule for July, so starting up again in August. And on to the public hearing items. Like we mentioned, item 1 has been continued to July 2nd. Item 2 continued to July 2nd. Item 3A and B continued to July 2nd. So we will hear number 4, Legacy 1 6th edition. Donald?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Donald Kress with the Department of Planning and Development. We're going to try doing a little more live presentation here today to give you a picture of this first one. This is called Legacy 1 6th edition. The Legacy develops this area in southeast Fargo. Here's University Drive, 64th Avenue South here, Bennett School, and there's some several plats here. The most recent one was Legacy 4th, which covered this area here in 2005. And as you see this area, we're just looking at this part here, as shown on your plat. This part was platted, but the streets were not completed at the time. There was a proposal for a roundabout here, but that proposal has since gone away, I guess is the best way to look at it. That is, that's not a part of our traffic plan anymore to have a roundabout there. And these cul-de-sac streets were originally platted here, and there is no connectivity here. As you see, these streets were never completed. So the original applicant, Mr. Jason Ide, is brought forth a plat here to reconfigure this area here. Instead of having the two cul-de-sac streets, you know, the old dead-end cul-de-sac, to have connectivity, as you see on the plat, one street that will connect 62nd through 63rd. So we'll have that connectivity there instead of some cul-de-sacs. And then these, this area of the former roundabout to square off all 4 corners. Actually, the applicant did talk to this property owner and to participate in the vacation there. So we're vacating these 4 corners of the, as we call it, of the former roundabout right-of-way, which are no longer necessary, and that will make the lots there a little bit bigger. There are 50 lots in the current area covered by the plat. The replat will end up with 54 lots, so just a little bit larger. The SR4 zoning will be retained, so that's a single-family dwelling zoning here. I'll go back to the PowerPoint here. Beginning. And we'll go through those. That's the SR4 zoning. We did go out, take some photographs of the site. It's photographs of an empty field largely, but this is from the west end of 62nd Avenue, whereas you saw it stop there. Just looking a couple different directions here. Bennett Elementary School, and as you see there, really is nothing there. The plat here shows, again, the vacation of the 4 corners of right-of-way to square off these lots, and then the reconfigured street. You can see the shadow of the cul-de-sacs underneath there, but the reconfigured street, 19th Street, will come through here. And then as part of the plat, these streets here, 62nd, 21st, 63rd, and 19th will be completed. So we'll have that connectivity through that area, which we do not have now. The one thing that will be addressed prior to the City Commission is there's a storm sewer line that cuts right along here. That'll need to be relocated. That's part of the requirements for a vacation. The North Dakota Century Code, as you see in your staff report, governs vacations of right-of-way, and it states 3 ways that any existing utilities in a vacated right-of-way must be accounted for. And so the applicant will work with our engineering department to come up with whatever agreement is necessary or work is necessary to account for that, relocating that storm sewer easement or that storm sewer in that location. And then again, this will go to the City Commission as it is includes a vacation of right-of-way. There's a slightly longer advertising period pursuant to North Dakota Century Code, but it just goes together as one plat for that. And so we'll go through our usual review process. There's page 2 of the plat, signature blocks there. Staff's recommendation is stated in your staff report, shown on the screen. The project applicant, Jason Ide, is with us this afternoon and may wish to address the commission. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Donald. Commissioners, any questions for Donald at this time? Yep, go ahead.
Just
Mike.
one question, Donald.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the plat and I see, I'm not sure what the lot or the block numbers are, but there's, it must be block 4. But lot 15 in block 4 and lot 9 in block 5, they seem awfully large.
The big lots, yes, sir.
Are they intended for something other than residential?
I do not believe so. If I may ask Mr. Ide to address that, he's had a couple configurations of that. I think he has some different plans here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The larger lots are intended to build, whether it be side-by-side units or individual in more of a townhome configuration.
Oh, okay. Because it looks like, especially block 9 or lot 9 of block 5, it looks like it's got a relatively small access to 19th Street.
Correct.
Okay, all right, just so you can make it work.
Commissioners, any other questions for Donald?
I have a question. Which avenue is it that the potentially proposed overpass over 29?
That's on 64th, ma'am.
That's the same one south then?
Yes, ma'am. That's not
One
these
avenue
roads.
south.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay. So what would be, this is just a question, that doesn't have to do with this particular thing, but what would be then between 63rd and 64th if 64th is going to be this major thoroughfare?
Well, we can go back to that's why it's handy to have the GIS here. So 63rd here is just a local street. This property here is Legacy Park, which is yet to be developed. And then this is a commercial zone piece here, also owned by the Ides. So 64th, again, connects University, 25th, and then potentially across. You'll recognize this area, commissioners, as the Selkirk Place First Edition, which was heard by your commission just last month. And this is probably future Golden Valley. As we go down here, we see the earlier Golden Valley subdivisions here. So that will probably be, again, developed by that property owner. So again, residential all along here. This is existing. Most of the rest of this is already platted or developed here, and then there's the drain that it's not ours, so we can't build anything on the drain.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioners, other questions for Donald? Okay. If not, any questions for Jason? Okay, seeing none. Do you have anything to add at all, Jason?
No, just excited to work with the city and the engineer and all the different departments on trying to make a better layout for traffic movement and the emergency movement and overall maintenance of the streets.
Okay, thank you. This time we'll open it up for public hearing. Are there any members of the audience that wish to speak in favor of or in opposition to the application? That's good. We'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, any questions, or are we ready to act? Yep.
Madam Chair, I'll offer the motion that's included in the staff report.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Sobolik.
Aye.
McGilkey.
Aye.
Tassa.
Aye.
Morgan.
Aye.
Bachmeyer.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye, the motion is carried. On to item 5. Just going to make sure here, I have 2 in my packet, same. Okay, Blue Water Creek 4th edition, Donald?
Yes, ma'am, since I started using this GIS here, I think we'll just continue it here for today, just as a bit of an experiment here. Allows you to see a little larger area than just the map that's included in your packet. So we're looking at this lot here. This is 32nd Avenue South here, 45th Street South here. As you probably recall from several recent commission meetings, there have been a variety of re-subdivisions and adjustments and so on in the Blue Water Creek area here, with more to come. Mr. Volmuth tells us coming up. This large lot here is the object of our entitlement here today, again owned by Pace's Lodging, represented by Nate Volmuth here today. This lot is zoned LC, limited commercial. His proposal is to rezone it to GC, general commercial. Staff did actually have a rather extensive internal discussion and a couple meetings with Mr. Volmuth there about the nature of that. This area has been LC for a long time, you know, and the difference between LC and GC is some of the dimensional standards, but also the uses that are allowed. As you know, in the GC, you've heard before you some CUPs to allow industrial in the GC. But as Mr. Volmuth pointed out, there is an existing conditional overlay on there that does prohibit that. So off-premise signs, temporary signs, industrial service, manufacturing, production, warehouse, and freight. These things are already prohibited by the existing conditional overlay. So it makes the proposed GC in terms of land uses just about equivalent to the LC, and would keep those sort of land uses out of there. Again, that's an office and lighter commercial area. And Mr. Volmuth's plan is to build an office building there for his company and for others. He may wish to tell you some more about that. So by the GC, he will gain height, which is limited in the LC zone, particularly in relation to the residential there. But the uses, you know, again, some of those heavier duty uses would still be prohibited. So we change the zone but retain the conditional overlay. And again, Mr. Volmuth is here, may wish to address the commission. Staff's recommendation is stated on the screen and in your staff report and shown on the screen. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Donald. Commissioners, any questions for Donald? Okay, seeing none. Nate? Wouldn't be a true meeting without you here, Nate, so thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. Thanks, Donald, for that. I don't have much else to add. The main reason for the rezone is for a height adjustment. So we're building a new corporate office there. And I wish I could agree with Donald and say it was my office, but it's a very small fraction of what it is mine. So, so we're building a new corporate office there, and we're building 4 stories to maximize the site, and it's only allowed, the LC only allows 60 feet, and GC allows unlimited. Our height that we're roughly at is 75 feet, so part of it that Donald, staff didn't feel they needed to restrict us, but we would have allowed the height to be restricted as well. The soil bearing capacities of that lot essentially restrict us to about 80 feet anyways, unless we wanted to do more extensive foundations. So yeah, that's kind of the background of what we're planning to do there. So it's going to be, we've had a lot of interest of having kind of a corporate office center, not just for our building and the other companies that our owner owns, but within that building, but a lot of interest in other buildings around us as well. So, thank you.
Thanks, Nate. Commissioners, any questions for Nate?
And I believe if, Mr. Volmuth, you're planning to locate that building more in this part of the lot up here, is that correct, Bob, in that?
Yep. Yeah, if you want to zoom, in a little bit, I can kind of give you a quick layout of it. So where his cursor's at on where the 45 is at, our building sits at an angle. And then in the center of that open field is a large private retention pond that would handle all the stormwater for basically everything that's undeveloped. And then the corporate office, the other corporate offices would kind of surround that pond, so.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioners, anything, any other questions? Okay, at this time, we'll open it up for public comment. Any members of the audience to wish to speak in favor of or in opposition to the application? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Commissioners, any questions, discussion? Are we ready to act?
I'll make the motion outlined in the packet to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Is there discussion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Bachmeyer.
Aye.
McGilkey.
Aye.
Morgan.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Sobolik.
Aye.
Tassa.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye, the motion is carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. This time we're on to other items. I think Mark will walk us through the RFP for core neighborhood plans.
Thank you. Good afternoon. After the May 15th joint brown bag with the Community Development Committee and the Planning Commission, I'm excited to present a proposal for us to be able to proceed with drafting and publishing an RFP to create a core neighborhoods plan. Aaron Nelson within our office will be the lead for the project. And the joint brown bag gave us a lot of information to be able to draft that plan as far as detailing sort of what the community wants as an end product. The timeline is we hope to publish the RFP by the end of June with maybe the project kickoff somewhere around November of 2019 with the completion of the project around November 2020. So it'll be about a year project. That being said, the motion is in front of you, and I can answer any and all questions, hopefully.
Thank you, Mark. Just my comment, I guess, that the joint brown bag was great to have everybody's input and discussion, and don't remember having done something like that on all my years on the commission, so appreciate the effort to get together and discuss this. Commissioners, any questions for Mark, or I'd entertain a motion?
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve staff's request to draft and publish a request for proposal for the core neighborhoods plan.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Take a roll call vote on this as well. Thank you.
Sobolik.
Aye.
Bachmeyer.
Aye.
Tassa.
Aye.
McGilkey.
Aye.
Morgan.
Aye.
Schneider. Fisher.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
And our last item, nominations for chair and vice chair. Throw this over to Melissa Sobolik, our nominating committee.
It was a tough job, let me tell you. We did hear John Gunkelman is interested as current vice chair in moving into the chair position, and Rocky Schneider is interested in moving into the vice chair position. Those were the only people I heard from.
Perfect. Sounds good. So is that a?
I will move to approve John Gunkelman as chair and Rocky Schneider as vice chair of the Planning Commission.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. This is what happens to John when you're not here to defend yourself. So congratulations to the Chair Gunkelman and Vice Chair Schneider. With that, everybody, this is my last time as chair. Thank you to staff. You've been fantastic to work with and really made this an adventure. I look forward to sitting in the side seats here for the next 2 years. Mark, you look like you have something to say.
Yeah, I think we should give Chara a round of applause for the leadership she's provided as the chair of the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
One last thing, Aaron Nelson and I sat down in his office today and opened up 9 proposals for the Land Development Code review, and we're excited to be able to start that process as far as trying to identify who we are going to select as a consultant and to get that project up and going. And once we get that a little bit more solid, we'll keep you up to date.
That's great. Thank you. Look forward to working on that with you. With that, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.